Well, people who own and live in mansions rub me the wrong way, as I've probably insinuated before. Violent City is a 1977. I was about to call this a poliziesco, although it's really not one. It is an Italian kind of crime film. Although we're talking about Charles Bronson betraying a hitman and his betrayal at the hands of former employers and friends. Sergio Sollima proved himself quite a good director on certain of his previous films. Some of his most acclaimed works are spaghetti westerns starring Lee Van Cleef, such as what's it? Not Gun the Man Down. What's that movie called? The Big Gun Down. That's it. But of all things, Sergio Sollima, he was given a script for what would become Violent City, and he chose to rewrite it with Lina Wertmüller, of all people. Yeah, the Seven Beauties, the German new wave film director. Her. What an odd choice. Although they made the film, apparently she's who inspired she had the idea for the non-linear, the flashback structure which this film operates under. For at least its first half, it becomes essentially linear for much of the second half, to my memory anyway. I don't think there are any more flashbacks after a point. It gives the film a more existential feel. They attempt to turn it into something more akin to John Borman's Point Blank. I think that was the intention even. I read that. I think I read that on the Wikipedia. But it's a fairly well-made film. I was rather impressed with it. This is a film which I noted on the same Wikipedia article. Nicholas Winding Refn cites it as his favourite Italian genre film. And I think that's interesting. It makes sense that he would. I don't think I want to go on the tangent about his filmography right now. Well, because I do like a lot of it. I wasn't as much a fan. I wasn't as fond of Drive or Valhalla Rising. Actually, only God Forgives I did really like, and then what was after that? The Neon Demon? Yeah, I have no time for that. The epitome of this style over substance, trying to impress the critics, sort of nonsense. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like a very superficial idea of what a worthwhile, acclaimed film will be, and I'm above it. Instead, I like to enjoy those older Charles Bronson films from the 70s, from the 60s. Some of them are really fun, even the likes of Mr. Majestic by Richard Fleischer, or there's a fun film. It's actually somewhat impressive, and apparently it was dwarfed by The Godfather on its release in '77. It's like same weekend, opening weekend. What's it called? The Valakai Papers, the Terence Young directed film. That's pretty cool. But Violent City is where we get an example of a more we get a hitman, Charles Bronson, who's strung along like a Humphrey Bogart protagonist inspired by something written by Chandler or Dashiell Hammett. For those who want a really violent vigilante or shoot 'em up in the vein of certain other Italian poliziesco, I don't think Violent City is quite that. Violent City is a bit before that boom, frankly. There are some films from the same year as this, which are essentially poliziesco, but I don't think that we could necessarily count Violent City as amongst those. It's been compared to one of these more experiential spaghetti westerns, and I can see why, especially kind of outlaw criminal character with a backstory seeking revenge, but then trying to employ him for some task. But then it also has the kind of we were manipulating you the whole time and you didn't know, you were just a pawn in our game shtick of a more 20th century, contemporary to the 20th century crime noir film, from your Maltese Falcons and your Big Sleeps, as I mentioned, to your Vertigos even, if you want to go back even more, a bit more ethereal. In any case, it's one of the better Charles Bronson films, I would say. Violent City by Sergio Sollima is likely a more impressive film than you may imagine, or a more dry film than you might imagine if you want lots of blood and splatter. It ain't quite that, but I think an extremely interesting composition. Thanks all. Have a great day, night, wherever you are. I hope everyone is well. Thanks again.